Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the modern market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully, fingers crossed, make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have the USD usual stablecoin losing its ability to redeem for $1. It's quite a technical one, which we will be breaking down a little bit later. Fortunately, we have Bread Guy to deliver that breakdown to you. Next, Binance announces spot listings for AIXBT, our favorite AI agent, as well as ChainGPT and AI agent data platform COOKIE. We'll discuss those in a little bit. And finally, kind of moving away from crypto, but very much on the AI theme, XAI has announced Grok can now be downloaded as a standalone iOS app. And I thought it'd be interesting to discuss that as a headline today because we've been using it and pretty impressed. So we'll be looking forward to have that conversation later today. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs, and a little bit of a creator discussion on how we go about building our business built into today's show too. We've got Legendary and Bread with us. We're ready to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, that nothing that we say here is financial advice because we don't know anything for sure and everything is very, very risky. So proceed with caution, exercise your own judgment, and fingers crossed, as we said at the top, make some money. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Friday. It's the 10th of January. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM, I am doing pretty well. I have 3 reasons to be happy. I'm in Dubai now, and I'm going to see you and a couple more friends tonight. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2, AIXBT obviously got the spot listing. And reason number 3, COOKIE got the spot listing. So 2 of my biggest holdings have the Binance listing, which makes me super happy. And I'm excited to get into that part of the news specifically.
Okay. Good evening with friends planned, plus humongous gains. Some would say legendary gains. Okay. Well, I'm intrigued to, I don't want to get into that now because we're going to talk about it as a headline, but I'm intrigued to see how you think about that now that you're one of the earliest holders, not like one of the literally earliest holders, but like very early into both of those coins, I suspect. And then, the spot listings are always the thing. It's like, oh, that's the thing that you get. And then after that, so, well, what are you supposed to do after that? That's like the zenith that people go for. So we'll discuss a little bit of strategy there, I think, and just to get your opinion on how you're thinking about that. Bread, how are you doing? How are you feeling, my man?
Listings are the thing until you see, I've been seeing a lot of pictures of like Zero Bro that was listed, and then it's like 14 straight days of red candles since the day it was listed. So yeah, maybe it's not a thing anymore. Hopefully it is for my legendary friend.
But that's the point, right? It is the zenith from which you can only go down.
Zero Bro was perps listing, and those 3 that we're going to talk about are spot listings. So there is room for hope that the spot listing will be one that does way better than the perps one.
Nice. Okay. Well, as for me, still getting used to the new time zone for me. As you know, for you guys, it's like what, noon, 1, right? So when I was in Europe, when I was in Asia, I was like, I have a full day. I could do some prep. I could do whatever, roll into it. Here, like you were talking about this usual money thing. I'm waking up, there's a crazy new DeFi scheme going off, and it's not just your everyday just stablecoin depeg. There's some nuance to it. So I'm really drinking water through the fire hose, we'll say. Like, you got 10 minutes to learn this shit.
It's good though. I think it's good.
It's always testing the metal. I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm always on the side of, I don't know how other people feel about this, but like if I can get stuff out of the way and done in the morning and compress the work that needs to be done and force yourself to get it done. I'm a big person that like, well, if I have the whole day, what's the phrase? Like the work expands to fill the day, basically. Yeah. So if it needs to get done in the next 10 minutes, you will get it done. If you didn't need to get it done in the next 10 minutes, it would take 30, 45, however long that you have.
That's
me personally.
Get up, go to the gym, do this stuff, and then like you're actually like there's a mental component to it. Like if you do stuff early, you make good decisions early, those good decisions cascade into better decisions throughout the day because like in your own head, like you don't want to jeopardize the thing you did earlier, right? You want to keep the ball rolling. Like, oh, I ate a good meal in the morning. At lunch, like I had a good breakfast. I don't want to like fuck it up now. Right. Whereas like if you wake up, eat a bunch of pancakes, you do a bunch of stuff, you're like, the day's ruined. Let's go get some ice cream. Right. Like mentally,
you say that you're saying that to the person that actually ate a bunch of pancakes this morning. And
maybe you'll have some ice cream later.
And waffles. Pancakes and waffles.
That's a hotel. I mean, whatever, right?
Yeah, but it was actually the first day I did. So first, only, and last time I'm going to do that.
The first day of the buffet is always the worst because you want everything, and then like the fourth or fifth day, you're like, all right, I know the thing I want. Like, we'll just do that and go home.
Yeah. Legendary. I think we're going to a buffet tonight as well, and it's pretty. I've actually been to this place before. As in, it's not a buffet; it's just all you can eat.
Oh no.
So I'd highly recommend just not eating beforehand because it's extensive. But look,
I had a 3-course lunch, so that's too late. That piece of advice is coming too late.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Right, let's get into the 3-course menu today on the show. We've got the price action, we've got the headlines, and then we're going to dive into those headlines as well. So starting with the majors, we have, what do we have? We've got Bitcoin up, a little bit of a bounce, up almost a couple of percent, pushing the knocking the door 95K at 94.9. ETH is flat at 3.3K. I feel like I say that every single day. Solana is also flat at $191. Getting into the meme coin side of things, Doge's up a percent at 33 cents. Pepe's up a percent. Pengu has recovered a bit more, up 6%. Bonk is flat. AI16Z is up 12%. WIF is at $1.60, down a percent. I'm just scrolling through these trying to find any bigger movers. Giga's up 5%. Popcat is still at 56 cents. AIXBT, obviously we just said, is up 35% on the Binance listing, and COOKIE is up around 50% as well as a consequence of the Binance listing. AVA, which is the AI token as well, that's up 30%. Pippin is up 140%. So again, a lot of AI stuff moving aggressively, but in general, market seems to have absorbed the aggressive red candles that have been happening recently and seems to be content to stay where it is, just at least for the moment. Getting into the headlines themselves, we've got the usual stablecoin losing its ability to redeem for $1. The backing is at 87 cents when I checked last, and it was trading at 93 cents. The consequence of recently announced dual exit option. Brett's going to break that down in a little bit. Next, Binance announces spot listing for AIXBT, ChainGPT, and AI agent data platform COOKIE. Some people commenting that it was interesting that Binance, obviously not Coinbase, listing these base native tokens before even Coinbase did. So interesting to see there. Huge price action on the back of that listing. So congrats to those holders. And then finally, XAI announces Grok can now be downloaded as a standalone iOS app. I think that might just be in the US at the moment, but we do want to dive into like the use case of Grok at the moment, what we've been using it for, what it's been good for. I think that'd be helpful for everyone. So we'll do that a little bit later in the show too. Some notable sales from around the space. A few CryptoPunk sales going through around 39 ETH. Pudgy Penguin Red Hat sold for 35 ETH, and then Azuki Lightning selling for 20.5. Azuki sales still staying strong. But let's go to Legendary to get a deeper breakdown on what's going on across the NFT market.
Bit of a mixed day for the NFT market. We have Pudgy Penguins at a 25 ETH floor, which means they are down 4% over the last 24 hours. We have Bored Apes also down a touch, 1.6% over the last 24 hours, 15.5 ETH floor for the Bored Apes. Azuki's recovered the tiniest bit, up 0.4%, 12.4 ETH floor for them. Doodles had a bit of a stronger recovery relatively to Azuki, at least, that is up 1.5%, 4.8 ETH floor for them. And the collection we mentioned yesterday, the Kaito Genesis collection, is up another 40%, 6.5 ETH for that one, with only four sales away from a 7 ETH floor. So that one has been moving up quite significantly. Do think that them partnering up and announcing more specific partnerships with Azuki with other communities is definitely helping the price action quite significantly.
Good point. I think, okay, I'll come back to that in a second. Remind me. But let's just go through the rest of the Web3 roundup to get us up to speed with everything else happening. BTC ETF outflows on the 8th of January hit 568 million. Some people expressed some concern there, but that's just the number that it was. Oklahoma senator introduces act to enable salaries and payments in Bitcoin. Sometimes these bits of news are not hugely meaningful in the sense that nothing's actually happening with them now. They're just introductions for discussion. Mantra, I like this piece of news. Mantra to tokenize $1 billion of real world assets for UAE firm DAMAC, DAMAC. That's on the back of them also making an announcement not so long ago that they were going to be tokenizing some other real estate firms' assets in the UAE. So very interesting stuff there going on the real estate side in the UAE. Berachain Dex native liquidity aggregator Ooga Booga announces a $1.5 million raise with participation from Infinex and Movements Labs founders. Socialify platform Fantasy Top announced a new synthetic trading game with Moonshot. Feel like they've always been very, very creative in how they continue to get people playing the games and figuring out new bits of data to use to do that. Pudgy Penguin CCG Vibes team up with $11 billion assets under management, Vanek, for a limited edition card. That is pretty cool. Pretty proud investor in Orange Cap Games at the moment. PlayEmber announces official IP license Pudgy Penguins game, Pudgy Life, and Bob Lack's pre-sale wallet, which raised $6 million spending funds to buy, appears to be spending funds to buy Fartcoin. That was pretty entertaining. I think I threw some soul into that pre-sale. So maybe I'm some kind of small shareholder in Fartcoin now. I don't know how that is playing out. Definitely haven't seen that soul back. That's the Web3 roundup with everything going on in the space. Before we get into the main headlines, Brad, let's go to you first today. Anything catching your attention there? What are you liking?
Mine's on the social side. So the Bob Black's character is like this ever present, but I still don't actually I don't know that I've ever seen the dude. I didn't see the pre-sale. I didn't get into that wave, right? I was kind of aware of it, but I didn't see this specific one. I know about some of the lore, where he's been around for a long time and has like infinity accounts, got in a fight with Charlotte Fang, got his account banned, but then like is back in an alt or something. So like away from all the news, the actual news, Bob Lex as a character inside of crypto Twitter is someone that has been appearing more and more in my brain and in conversations, but they're elusive to me. I've never actually seen them, I don't think. And I don't actually know, they're like a ghost. I don't know if they exist. I did see the thing about the wallet and spending on Fartcoin, but even the references to them and like some of the stuff that they've done with like a bunch of pictures of their PFP and like, I can't believe you gave this guy $6 million. Like, I still don't know who they are. I haven't seen them. I don't know this stuff, but like, they're kind of interesting to me.
Is one of those, it's like very, you can't tell if you're being psyoped because everyone's in on it. It's like
yeah, exactly.
Everyone's in on something, but you can't tell if everyone's in on it or if everyone's joking or if everyone's not joking. I don't know. I sent some soul to the wallet and have not received anything back. So maybe I'm definitely not in on whatever's going on. So that's the main conclusion there.
That's so crypto. Just like the words you just said out of your mouth are so ridiculous. How much soul do you send them? Like what, a couple $100 worth, right? $300, $400 worth of money. Like just listen to yourself. Listen to what you just said. Like, oh, there's someone out there. I don't know. I don't know if they exist.
The law, Brad.
Is it
the law? I wouldn't have just sold it.
But I sent him like $600. I did because I thought maybe he'd give me $700.
Said to anyone. You've got to take into account the law. The law.
It's there. Like it's got me. I'm not even interested in this stuff.
There you go. The law is powerful. Legendary. Any commentary on the Bob Black's pre-sale? Otherwise, anything else catching your attention? Maybe we go back to the Kaito thing just for a minute.
Completely missed that one, to be honest. Another thing that caught my attention or that made me pretty happy and proud is the PlayEmber Pudgy Penguins partnership on the gaming side of thing. As someone who's working with the team and someone who's a significant investor in that company, I'm pretty excited about that. What I'm also excited about is that Sammy and myself are finally joining Brad in the ranks of fantasy top heroes. So we are 3 out of 4 for the modern market now.
Is it official? Like your permanent members?
There is a new mode apparently in Tactics that they announced, and they picked some people from the top 50 of the Yappers, which is the perfect segue for B to get back into Kaito in a second. And so Sammy, myself, obviously a few other people joined that, but that was something I was excited to see.
Yeah, very good. Amazing. That's great to see. Very well deserved as well. I mean, I think you and Sam should have been put in quite a long time ago, to be honest. So that is really, really good to see. Good segue, as you said, into Kaito. You mentioned the opportunity here. Like, why do you think this stuff is going up? So the NFT went up, what did you say, like 40% or 30% or something in the last 24 hours? Pushing a 5 ETH floor or has gone past a 5 ETH floor?
pushing a 7 ETH floor.
Oh, okay. That's
5 ETH
pretty
floor
insane.
is so 2 days ago.
Okay. Brad is celebrating for the people who are just listening in. I guess he's still holding his NFTs.
I got 2. Yeah, I'm rocking them things.
Ooh, okay. Very good. But okay, so the question is, I have a thought on this. Why do you think this is happening? Like, why are people betting on the NFT so much? Why do people, usually the answer to this question in this space is always tokens allocation of some sort. They don't just go up for no reason, right? But what kind of factors are happening at the moment that's leading people to believe, well, it's going to have an allocation, and on top of that, it's going to be super valuable because it's starting to really, I mean, it was expensive already at 2-3 ETH. To be going towards 7 is pretty significant. Legendary, I'll come to you first, then want Brett's reflections as well.
Well, I think the token speculation has been ongoing. What has caused the price action has been that series of partnership announcement. Obviously, we just mentioned Fantasy Top, referencing that. I said it quickly when I went through the NFTs that we had this announcement from Anime Coin that Anime is partnering up with Kaito to build the future of anime, as they're saying, where fans aren't just consumers, they're collaborating, shaping its evolution, start yapping about anime and earn rewards. So just being recognized by some of the strongest brands in the space that this is a valid tool set to look at communities, which we want to reward, just puts them in an excellent position that just drives even more demand for the NFT, because the thinking is still the same. The thinking still is NFT will equate tokens, but obviously the more partnerships they can announce, which people deem to be valuable, and the more like connected they become with the entire Web3 ecosystem, it's a value proposition that others have obviously tried, and you guys talked about that on the One Spaces where I wasn't a part of, that you had Inspect, you had other companies trying to push for this like socialify element, but it seems that Kaito is the one that is dominating this game right now, given those significant partnerships.
So I got 2 extensions on this. One is, yes, what Legendary was just saying, but also as a team, right, Meg ETH, right, we're talking about getting involved in this stuff. We actually fucked up because we are going to get involved earlier. We know you, like all this stuff, and whenever I first saw it, I was like, we gotta get on this board, and we just like, all right, let's kind of wait because it's kind of pricey. We're talking about it. Competition to get on there is so high now that it's turning into a bid system, and that bid system is going to turn into a way to actually ask the like yappers of like, hey, we went on the board, like yappers vote for us, right? We put up a proposal and like, oh, we can promise, certain rewards or like whatever. So like that's starting to come. The second is, if you look at, I just shared a link called Use Corn people. So like there's that, right? So that might point towards Kaito NFTs. That might point towards like the people that bid that stuff, or they might point towards yappers on their board, right? A movement just recently just got on there and said, hey, we just got our board and it's going to be incentivized, which means you yap, you're probably going to get some kind of move in the future, right? And then Use Corn here, specific to the NFTs, said we're going to do a drop to Kaito NFT holders specifically, not to yappers, not to whatever. So you see both Yap holders and Kaito Genesis NFT holders will be rewarded. So now you're starting to see protocols come up and target the holders of these NFTs for rewards, which I think is probably what's also adding to this, because like before is kind of ambiguous, yappers, whatever, not like what are the NFTs for, Kaito token or someone else's token, but now they're being targeted for other people's tokens. So if you do have a Kaito NFT like that, Use Corn, you're targeted specifically, you're going to get a reward there.
I like to be targeted this way as an NFT holder.
That's really cool. I was actually going to say, Brad, that I didn't think that would be the way it would go, because it's less meritocratic in the sense that if your purpose is to get marketing, like free marketing done, you want to try to target the people who are yapping. And so that would have been my initial thought, like, right, by getting these boards up, these companies are able to see who is achieving the most reach with regard to their specific protocol, and you just get this excellent data. You can push things towards them, and also maybe you can push partner things towards them as well, right? Say you're a chain launching. We spoke in the snapshot today, we literally just mentioned, okay, Bearer Chain's DEX just raised. Okay, well, now not only is it about the chain, but obviously as all these chains launch, you have all of these underlying protocols that are launching with the chain who can also access and know who all of these people are simultaneously. You wanted to come back, I think, there, Brad.
Yes. So what I'm going to say from a strategic point of like why you would target NFTs versus like Yappers specifically, I view it as, because remember the NFTs went to people who were strong people on the platform, right? They're high Yap earners or whatever already. That's kind of what determined the tiers of who got in, who didn't. That's so largely that's what it is. So if you do the Yap leaderboard, that focuses on people that are already talking about you. If you focus on the NFT, you're focusing on potentially people that are strong Yappers that are not focusing about you. Like use corn now, it gave me allocation. I'm not talking about corn. I wasn't even aware of corn.
True.
Me being a strong yapper am incentivized to now talk about corn because now I have a bag or it actually got me interested in the protocol or whatever. So like one is harvesting, one is like, getting people that are already associated with you.
Yeah, I like that thought. That is a very, very good point. Any final reflections here, Legendary, before we get into the business segment today?
Do you guys think we'll see the NFT also work as a sort of multiplier? So if you're a Yapper and you get an allocation for whatever token that is, and if you also hold the NFT on top of that, that's going to add to that allocation?
I haven't seen that much.
Yeah, it's so hard to speculate on like how they're going to use all this. There's so many ways it could go. Yeah, maybe. I'll say no. I'll say that it's not wide enough distributed to be like the only source of a drop, right? So like, yeah, it would have to be a multiplier in some force or a booster or something. Also, we're getting payouts for those here in the next like day or so. That's also probably part of that. I think they just announced like, hey, the drop of the 150 ETH goes to the top Yappers. Oh wait, no, that's separate from the NFT. Sorry. That's just the Yap leaderboard.
By the way, because you mentioned it, that got just distributed, got a wallet alert a couple minutes ago. So those points just arrived in the wallets of the Yappers.
Very cool. For the people who don't know, that's if you were in the top
5
tiers,
ETH, and then top, I think 1K or top 2K or 1.5K, 0.1 ETH.
You had some ETH distributed to you. Final point on this before we move on, because I think it's interesting, is moving forward, the thing to look out for me, or something to look out for me, is one, COOKIE performance. Like COOKIE in essence is another kind of data platform that people are using a lot and liking a lot. As we said, just got listed by Binance. We'll dive into that later today, up at 700 mil. I think Kaito and COOKIE together are the two leaders in this arena for me at the moment. And one doing exceptionally well should help the other doing exceptionally well. That's just something I've been noticing, or something that I'm thinking about as well. But look, we'll come back to this social stuff because it's increasingly crossing over with crypto itself. And we'll be at the forefront of discussing it, but let's keep it moving. We will get into the main headlines in just a little bit. But before we get there today, let's get into our weekly entrepreneurial segment, Publish and Profit, where we explain some of the key secrets and tips to making money online as a creator. Today, we've got an interesting one. We will focus on the different offers you get in crypto and how to choose between them. The offers being cash, tokens, or the option to invest. This segment is brought to you by Little Nouns, an expansion DAO based on the famous Nouns DAO, who fund cool creative endeavors which can proliferate the Nounish meme. So the most straightforward option we review typically is cash or live tokens in exchange for sponsorship. We like this generally because it's straightforward and we get paid straight away, which is helpful. There's a variation of this though, where tokens are not live yet and you can receive some when they are. Typically, we don't like this idea of that, since we're trying to establish the routine stream of revenue as a media business. However, there might be occasions where if you're happy to go long on a company because you like them a lot and maybe they're willing to pay a premium for the fact you need to wait longer to get paid, we might consider that. The second opportunity we review is the option to invest in exchange for content. In a similar way to the token point, this is not helpful from a cash flow perspective because you're literally doing work and then having to actually give up money for doing that work. But if the protocol is promising and you can afford the patience to take a long-term view, we can consider this. We would still prefer to pair that option with some sort of cash payment too, to kind of hedge your risk a little bit. But breaking down the token side a bit more, you usually have two options, and this is how I think about both. Number one, tokens that are equivalent of cash value. So say a team just commits that you'll receive 5K in tokens. That's straightforward, no stress. It's basically just like cash. Tokens that are valued at a certain FDV, however, then the amount you receive depends on the price at which the coin is trading. This allows you some upside if the protocol does well, has more downside if it trades poorly. One like important reflection on this, when you kind of zoom out and look at the whole business side of things and all of the money, all of the ways we've made money over our years in crypto so far, whether that's by trading, by sponsorship money, and by investing privately in protocols to get token allocations, I would say hands down, private investing has been the best return with the most upside. And that means, what that means for us, I think, is whilst we always like to optimize for healthy cash flow as the business, we do like to have token exposure, which gives us some chance to hit bigger as well. Legendary, how do you think about revenue? What's your preferred way to get paid, or the ratio between cash and tokens? How do you sit there?
I think that's a wonderful question, because we can like look at the two perspectives. You know, you mentioned the modern market a bit, and I always like to say that different people in this space, you know, have different needs, are in a different position. So there's like no point into like looking at someone, be like, okay, this guy does like that, so I want to do it like that. And the modern market has a completely separate set of needs than I have as a person, right? So the modern market, as you said, is a growing business, and as a growing business that needs to have a stable cash flow, because there's a video editor. There's Drew, our editor, working on all of the clips that you guys can see on YouTube, you can see on our timeline, and he does a very fantastic job with that. And obviously he gets paid for that. And that is something that is a business expense, and the business can't pay the people working for it in a pre-TG allocation. I mean, it can do that, but it's not necessarily the way how things are typically done. So for that reason, for the modern market, it's important to have a healthy cash flow allocation. And this is where the modern market does the deals that you said before, and gets token allocations when it thinks those can be very, very interesting, but also wants to have a healthy chunk in just stable payments, because it is a growing business and because it has that need to cover its expenses. Now, I, on the other hand, I don't have as strong of a need to get stable coins. So I'm like not really super interested in getting stable payments right now, especially that I focus so much on my content on the AI side of things. And when I typically write about something or I partner up with something, that's also because like I like this product, I like this idea, I want to have that whitelist, but I want to be able to invest there. So I am very much leaning the other way these days, where I'm like, man, don't really get me too excited about a cash payment, but give me an OTC deal. Like, give me an OTC deal for something that I like, or give me the option, if it's pre-TG, to invest into something. Give me an allocation for that. Give me access to a seed, pre-seed round, whatever that is. Or give me just a token allocation. Like, this is why I'm more interested in, because I like the speculative upside. And I don't have the same need for a stable payment as an entity like the modern market would have.
I like it. I like the way you drew the distinction between the two. And in the end, it kind of depends on your risk profile, depends what you're trying to go for. But I thought it'd be helpful to bring that out, because these are literally live conversations that we're having at the moment. Like, as the modern market develops, maybe even our risk appetite changes. It's something that we've been thinking about at the moment in the variety of deals that we've been seeing. As soon as we've come back in January, the market's got super hot and we've got like a variety of things to assess. So I thought it'd be helpful to share that, to give people a little bit of a sense of what's going on behind the scenes with us in the business as regards to payments. Hope that was interesting. And once again, shout out to Lil Nouns DAO for sponsoring the segment. Lil Nouns is an expansion DAO based on the famous Nouns DAO, who fund cool creative endeavors which can proliferate the Nounish meme. Let's get into the main headlines today then. We've got three pretty interesting ones. We're going to start off with the stablecoin depeg, allegedly, the alleged depeg, which Bread's going to do in a second. We're then going to move on to AIXBT and COOKIE, Legendary's bags, and he's going to be speaking very dispassionately and completely unbiased on that in a little bit too. Then we'll do a little bit of AI stuff with Grok. Bread, take it away. What's going on with this fairly technical depeg of the usual stablecoin?
Yeah, if you're not a DeFi user on this one, so the first link that BCheck's going to pull up, just to like summarize what's going on, kind of gives you the idea of the depth of what's going on in this usual money depeg situation. It's a very long thread relative to like saying, hey, something's pegged to $1. And the reason that is, so again, we'll go high level, and for those not actually watching the screen, this thread's like, I don't know, we'll say 3 scrolls long. It's a lot. So
it's a good metric. 3 scrolls.
yeah. So all right. So usual money is the actual brand of the stablecoin. What's happening is one of their product offerings is being removed from its $1 peg. So there's a couple layers to this. One, stablecoin is usual, or the brand is usual. The very first stablecoin that they have that is just a traditional stablecoin is USD0, right? It's a UCO. It's pegged at $1. It doesn't do anything, doesn't give you yield, doesn't do whatever. It does its purpose of staying at $1. They then have a secondary token called USD0++. This thing, and this is the thing that depegged, this thing was trading down as low as 86 cents, I think is this all in the documentation?
87.
And
I saw last.
87 cents. Yeah. And that was because what this thing is, right? So USD0 again does nothing, stays at $1. USD0++ is something that you effectively lock up for 4 years to earn usual, their actual token, at a 4% yearly price over years, right? So like that's the interest that you would earn, but you don't earn it until the very end of that 4-year lockup. And people saw that, okay, if this thing is only worth that at the end, if we were to buy that today, right, and account for the time lockup of this thing, it roughly should trade at about 86 cents, 87 cents, 88.855 is what this particular analyst had written up. So people started trading against that that potential price whenever they announced a recent exit strategy or sorry, a recent mechanism called the dual exit mechanism, which allowed for people who previously had this lockup, and people were looping this thing because they saw the yield, right? I think there's in one of these links that BCheck gave me, someone loops, $18 million just over and over and over trying to get this stuff going, trying to earn yield. Anyways, they announced a dual exit mechanism, one where you could exit immediately at the current price, or two, give up a portion of your actual earned interest that you had earned over that time in order to get out over a smaller time or over a shorter time frame. Anyways, the thing is that just that USD0++ was marketed as a stable coin, a staked stable coin, but functionally operated as it's a zero coupon bond. Zero coupon being the thing that you don't get after the you don't get the interest until after that 4-year lockup, which is a pretty crucial detail. And once people realized that, the price started depegging from that $1 advertised price pretty quickly. Now that's like the actual like functioning like aspect of all of this. And then there's another link DeFi Ignis called out. I like to look at like the social element of events like this. So he calls out 2 specific things. One, you can see here in the docs, he recalls very vividly that they actually changed the price of like how the behavior of this stuff is on the back end. And it says currently the floor is set manually to the 87 cents for those 2 tokens, which like before it did not read like that. He could not find anything in the Wayback Machine that it wasn't logged. But just to see that like, oh, like the situation happened and teams start reacting to that. And then you scroll down a little bit more. There's a screen cap of the announcer that, yeah, here you go. The next one, the unstoppable, like that, how they market themselves is unmatched depth, unstoppable stability. But like, well, the stability is either hard coded or it changes rapidly because people truly understand the mechanism. So I just thought that was funny as like a social element of this stuff on the side. And I just in general like DeFi Ignis interpretation of these events because he goes through it as a experienced DeFi user, but also just like a human, right? So he talks about, it's like, man, I feel dumb for having done this. Like I know these things, like I did this, XYZ. Jez has a really good reference to Hunger Games, to Squid Games here, where like, if you don't understand what's going on in the documents, like you're kind of just opening a random door and hoping for the best. And in this case, if you're familiar with Squid Games, this stablecoin USD0++ is the umbrella in the 4-door game, where like that was the very hardest one, and that's going to like potentially get you killed. So just kind of a funny reference.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. I appreciate the breakdown, Brad. As I said, it's kind of more on the technical side and slightly more complicated. One, not necessarily piece of pushback is, or just someone that I've seen pushing back against this is DCF God, who is a investor. He said, friendly reminder that USD0++ is a multi-year bond and not pegged. I don't know why people are freaking out. There is zero backing issue, and seem to be suggesting that lots of people were coming in to buy up this dip because people are fundamentally misunderstanding what this is. Any reflections there, Legendary? Have you been looking at this at all? Have you been considering this? Brad, you can come in as well again before we head into the AIXBT stuff.
Two comments on that. No, I haven't been using that. You know
Sure.
that in terms of the stablecoins, I do like to keep it simple. I know that you are a big fan of Ethena. I think what Ethena is building is cool, but I like that Squid Game analogy that Brett pulled up, and I'm staying with the simpler things on the stablecoin side, because as much risk on as I am with the majority of my portfolio, I'm very risk off on the stable side of things, and I don't necessarily even yield farm a lot of that. The other comment is the communications part. So if even DeFi Ignas is, as someone who's very, very, very much an expert in DeFi things and has been around for quite a long time, is a bit surprised by what's going down, and people have expected to have a stable coin and realize they have a zero coupon bond. Then my question is, has that really been, and again, that's a question because I haven't been following that as closely, has that really been that clearly communicated, or was there some miscommunication going on? But because it seems to be quite a surprising mismatch that people expect to have a stable coin and realize they're actually holding a bond version of a token.
This actually reminds me of the LRT stuff. Like, remember when the LRT depeg happened back, was it Puffer? Was Puffer the one that depegged? Or was it?
It was easy.
Yeah, it was Renzo. It was Renzo.
Renzo, sorry, yeah.
Which is very, like, it's very similar to what's going on with all of these stablecoins, and very analogous to the Squid Games door thing, right? So you have all of those restaking protocols. You have Renzo, you have EtherFi, you have Puffer, you have Swell, you have whatever. And all of those are, like, you see them, you're like, oh, it's just their version of Ethereum. It should be 1-to-1 with Ethereum at all times. But then you're like, well, like, if you know what they're doing behind the door, like, it's the price isn't that. It shouldn't be 1-to-1 because of all of the risk they're taking on, the AVSs they're securing, the, like, all of the decisions that they're making. Maybe they have it all in one pool. Maybe it's like not collateralized. Maybe you can't exit on for this particular protocol, but you can on that one. So it's like, it is very analogous to what Jez had forward, is that thing. It's just like a lot of these things, if you look at them by their name, you could assume one thing, but until you truly understand the mechanisms on the back end, like, that would justify the price. So, like, it typically is a market understanding problem, and whether or not the protocol is built in a way that it can sustain an event where people rapidly try to understand or misinterpret the actual underlying, and then, like, if that breaks the protocol, it's fucked. But, like, otherwise, it's like people, it's just like an opportunity, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. My two reflections on this is, one, Legendary, I completely sympathize with the concept of, like, look, we take enough risk in this space. We, like, absolutely take enough risk in space. You don't need to take risk on a stable coin. Like, what is the point? And I've thought about this recently as well, where it's like, look, we're doing relatively well given that the time that we've been in space. It's just like, you don't want to give it back to there's other ways that you give it back to the market, right? Like, you go in on an NFT and it drops, or you go in on a meme coin,
or you send $700 to Bob Lax for whatever reason.
It was more than $700, Brad. But that's the way you give it back to the market, right? But you can't then have your stable coins disappear as well. So, okay, look, I take that point. However, the reason why I like Athena, not just Athena, but, like, just the concept of just developing money, is that I just think historically, from a historical perspective, money always changes over time. And the way that money is backed, and, like, the maybe it's a little bit philosophical, but, like, the value which is kind of inbuilt into each money over time, although there's something core and that kind of transcends all the different monies, I feel like it develops over time, and it kind of evolves over time, and it takes different forms, and the backing might be different things as the world develops. And so I just think that there's space for these things to be backed by different things, and it won't necessarily always be dollars and treasuries. And I think we will have more interesting mixes of tokens and other assets, other very, very valuable assets, that will be part of the mix, and you can kind of select your mix of stablecoin. I think that's the way we'll go in the future, but maybe that's me being more imaginative. or overly imaginative, probably, because that's not very stable potentially. Legendary, you came off there. Did you want to say something there?
No, I think you're right. I think we're going to see more stablecoins models coming in the future. Going to see certainly things on the RWA side of things. At one point, when that's a point I've been mentioning quite a few times. Funky has been mentioning as well. When there's enough volatility removed out of the system, it would be cool to see a stablecoin that can exist without a fiat backing, but can exist and not be algorithmic. Can exist with maybe a Bitcoin backing, because that is stable enough to be backed against. So I don't think that you're getting too creative on that. I think it's a very fascinating and evolving industry, stablecoins, that is. And this creativity is very much needed, because at one point it's just not enough to be just another stablecoin. Like, we've seen the same evolution with layer 2s, right? It was okay to be a layer 2 that just tries to make things faster, to put it in a non-technical way, and scale mainnet. And yesterday you talked, for example, about Story Protocol, and you said the same thing. It's not enough to do that. You need to actually bring like value in a specific niche. And I think we see the same evolution for stablecoins as well.
And just to be clear, before we go straight into Legendary's favorite topic, I'm like hyper bullish on the dollar. Like, I don't think the reason why we need to be, or the reason why there'll be more stable coins is because the dollar is going down and everything else is going to be way more valuable relative to, I think the proliferation of stable coins is going to really cement the dollar's power across the world. And so the dollar is going to be very, very strong, irrespective. Sure, there's going to be inflation. Sure, the other assets are going to go up, but I think the dollar is going to proliferate as well. So that's one clarification there from my side. But Legendary, let's get into your segment today. AIXBT listed on Binance, COOKIE listed on Binance. Another token that I haven't heard of, but I assume you have heard of it, also listed on Binance. Tell us what's going on here. What's the price action? What's the activity? And what are the downstream consequences?
Absolutely. It's a very interesting timing of this announcement, which I'm currently sharing on screen. As you said, we have AIXBT, the most prominent AI agent in the space overall, and also the poster child of virtuals, being listed on Binance. We have ChainGPT, being an infrastructure protocol, basically provides AI tools for NFTs, for crypto trading tools, for smart contracts, and COOKIE, which is that data and indexing layer for the agentic economy. All three of them receiving a spot listing, not a perps listing, spot listing with a seed tag applied, with the trading pairs going live today at 1 p.m. UTC, which is exactly in 12 minutes. So right when we're going to wrap up the show. And if we look at the price action of that, just going to go to the three charts because they all look funnily similar. This is AIXBT. I'm going to get into prices. I'm just sharing this on screen so we can see how the charts look like. So you see, basically, it has been trading and ranging, obviously corrected down a bit. And then you have this green God candle for the listing. This is a different chart. This is ChainGPT, but has the exact same pattern. And COOKIE also has pretty much the exact same pattern. All of these charts, all of these tokens are up 50 to 60% on the listing announcement. So AIXBT obviously went as high as 600-ish mil, corrected down to 370, and on that announcement shot up to 510, 20 mil. Trades at 500 mil now. Similar story for ChainGPT, traded around 170 mil before, trades at 285 mil. Now, similar story for the COOKIE side of things, 130-ish mil before, it went up all the way to 230, trades at 200 mil now. So very, very significant in terms of the price action. However, the more interesting thing to me is that we've been talking about this battle of exchanges for quite a while, and obviously virtuals as the protocol that powers agents like AIXBT, which just got the listing, is on base. So a lot of people were speculating that we'll see a Coinbase listing for that, because the thinking there was it's an app that has been bringing lots of users to base, has basically quote unquote moved, championed the current AI agent season, and brought people from Solana to base as well, presumably. And we didn't see that virtual's Coinbase listing happening. At least we haven't seen it yet. And Binance was the one being faster in that regard, and obviously not listing basically what could be like a competing token in a sense, but picked the main agent, picked the winner from virtuals, AIXBT, to give a spot listing to that, as well as two other tokens, because so far we've seen the perps listing, which Brett has also mentioned, for Cerebro, at the start of the show, which basically kind of nuked the chart from 800 mil down to 350. And I think a couple of months ago, the talks were very much focused on GOAT, one of the original AI memes to be the first one to be listed on Binance, get the spot listing. But it's actually that series of 3 tokens, AIXBT, so one agent, one infrastructure token with ChainGPT, and one data indexing layer with COOKIE that got that spot listing at the very, very same time. Once more, trading starts in 9 minutes, so we'll see how the price action will develop from that point onwards.
Okay, like it. Great summary. 2 follow-on questions for me. Is this one? You spoke about some getting what do you say? Some got perps, right? Beforehand. So some got perps, but you said like, okay, but this is the spot listing. And there seems to have been some dismay, maybe I'd say, where some things are getting perps but not getting spot, and that seems to make a big difference to people at the moment. That seems to make a big difference on price. Are you able to just touch base on like why you think that is? And then the second question now is back to the first thing we mentioned at the top of the show. You get the spot listing. Do you take profits now? Do you sell it all and just be happy with the huge gain? I think maybe COOKIE and AIXBT for me, maybe 10x's at this point. I actually took some profit this morning. I left a little bit because. But I don't know. But I don't have a strong view. Typically for me, the way I would normally play this is I just sell things so that I don't have to think about them, especially if I'm up a lot. But I'm pretty bullish on the AI sector still. And I think there's probably still room to run for things that are good, but curious to hear your thoughts on those 2 aspects, Legendary.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for the difference between the spot and the perp listings, well, spot listing is the one that actually allows you to own the asset, allows you to own AIXBT. For the perp listing, you're basically entering a futures contract where you're speculating the price of that thing going up, going down. There's a funding rate that you pay. The funding rate depends on how the market is structured in terms of longs versus shorts for that specific assets. So it's not owning the asset, it's basically speculating on its price going up or down and paying the funding rate for that, which is more attractive to those who want to create volume on that, and creates just a different environment than having a spot listing where, if you buy a token that is spot listed, the only bet that you're entering with that is the token will go up, because otherwise you wouldn't buy the token. So that's the key difference for that. And this is why we've maybe seen a bit more of the dismay with the perps listing, that even got to the point in the timeline where people like, please Binance, never list my bag, whatever that is, as a perp, because then you're going to basically mess with it. You're going to ruin the price action for that. To your second question, as I said, I have a significant COOKIE bag. I think I also posted about that 10-ish days ago, that I added another 15K to that. I have an AIXBT bag that I've been holding for way, way longer. For AIXBT, I have been taking profits all the way up. Now, we had that dump, so I definitely took a bit more profits before the listing. I still think that AIXBT has way to run, so I didn't sell out of all of that position. Similarly for COOKIE, I also took profits on that, and then I'm going to wait for the listing. I just think that we've seen that when the listing was announced, it shoots up massively. Then there's a bit of a correction, sideways action, whatever you want to call that. And if you want to do that, I typically have alerts on for the accounts that announce the Binance spot listings. So because I saw that pretty well, basically in the same minute when the candle was at almost the highest point, I did take a good amount of profits, but I still have a healthy exposure to both of those bags, because I think they're, for my own portfolio, a bit longer term holds. And obviously none of that is financial advice. It's just how I am trading my own stuff. So I didn't sell out of both positions fully. And for ChainGPT, I don't hold that, unfortunately. B, you are on mute.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear people's different takes on how to play that stuff. I think one of the things maybe for these 2 particular assets is that I think they're really good. Like AIXBT, although I have noticed more recently people, suggesting that it's not that good. Like I think it hallucinates a little bit. It's kind of it's more positive than maybe it needs to be all the time, or it's like routinely positive, or it's almost trained to be positive. So it's a bit more bullish routinely than, well, it's less critical potentially. So I've noticed that, but Cookie as a platform is pretty good. Pretty good, great data, doing really nicely. So, okay, I think we've discussed that sufficiently. I hope that was interesting to people, just to get some perspective there. Let's get into the last 5 minutes then. Kind of not necessarily, well, we are moving away from crypto, but staying on the AI stuff to talk about Grok. We do talk about crypto, we talk about NFTs, we talk about all those things. We also talk about information flows, creating on the internet, because all of these things are connected moving forward. You know, we even spoke about Kaito and how the social stuff is all becoming connected to crypto as well. Getting information, reading information, connecting information is super important. And Grok is obviously Twitter's version of its AI. It's kind of its AI version of ChatGPT, and you can now download it as a standalone iOS app. I think that's only in the States at the moment, but I just wanted to reflect briefly on some of the things I've been using it for and ask the boys what they think. I've been really impressed, guys. Like, I've been like, so there's a particular protocol that is considering sponsoring us recently, and it's not one that I was as familiar with. And so I Googled, like, what can you tell me about this protocol? Because the cool thing about Grok is that you can get information that you really genuinely cannot get anywhere else. You know, everyone knows that the Twitter actual search bar is just horrific. Like, using the actual Twitter search bar for anything makes you want to shoot yourself in the head. But if you go to Grok now and you ask it the thing that, if you just use it like Google, but for Twitter, or not just for Twitter, but like you just genuinely want to know. I wanted to know about this protocol. Like, what can you tell me about them? Who have they worked with before? And it answered perfectly. And it had reference tweets for like where they got that information from. And I was like, this is very, very impressive. I saw a very prominent person on the timeline just say, like, quote tweet the Grok announcement, just say delete ChatGPT now. Obviously, there's going to be a big battle between all these tech giants about which model, or which platform that, you know, retail is going to be using, because they're all going to be battling for your attention, and I highly doubt people are going to be using multiple. But my reflection so far, based on those experiences, that I've been very positive. I thought it's been very, very good. Would be curious, Legendary and Brad, to share your experience on the various things you've been doing. Brad, I know you maybe you've been using Claude and things like that. Where are we with the AI stuff? Legendary, you go first, and then Brad.
And just gonna showcase an example. Brad had mentioned that one post that is 3 scrolls long. This is one of the features I really love. Pulling up the post to share it on screen, there's this little Grok button. You click it and you get a super fast summary of exactly that post. And you also get references to other posts who have talked about that as well. That is going back to the first headline, to the usual money one. And you can see CVB, you can see Olympio and other people posting about that. And I find it super helpful to just, if a post is very long, get a TLDR of that, but also more importantly, get takes from other people on that, and quickly get the sentiment on something. It's just extremely efficient, time-saving tool for that use case specifically. And also, if I just want to know what is the timeline thinking about XYZ, I'm just asking Grok, because Grok can obviously access all of the posts and give me examples, and that's way faster than manually searching something.
Yeah, I'm just going to extend that. That's the exact same reason I enjoy it. I mean, it's kind of connects back to like the AIXBT use case for me. We're like, yeah, him posting on the timeline's like interesting, whatever, and like you can follow it and try to keep up. But like his terminal and the data that he's trained on is the edge. Like that proprietary information is the edge for me, which now makes me wonder, like secondarily, I know X just came out and talked to Sammy about like, hey, we're going to make sure we have good API for you guys to have like AI bots to like train on our stuff. I wonder if there's going to be a potential conflict of interest for them, where they don't want to serve up their API anymore to all of these AI agents, because Grok is intensely valuable in a world where no one else has that information, right? Like their specific AI model is very good for up-to-date information because you referenced Claude. Like something happened today. If I went to Claude and said, hey, tell me about even like some architectural shit, like tell me about the block building process of Solana, right? Like that information may have been here like 6 months ago in a formal documentation on the site, but like Claude may not have been trained on that because like, oh, he's like, sorry, bro, I'm only up till April 2024. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't help you with this stuff. When likely what has happened since then is someone probably came on Twitter and tried to write a thread on it. Now, the truthfulness of that information is probably a little like flimsy, but like it could be, right? Anyone can write whatever the fuck they want. But it is useful and it is accessible to me. It is something I can actually like go and search and do my own due diligence on and all that stuff. So like the information being put forward on these social platforms is intensely valuable. Having an AI that is trained on that has access to all of that and can synthesize a shit ton of information very quickly is intensely valuable to someone like me when that information doesn't actually exist very well on the rest of the internet, right? It's just sourced here. It's in this giant clob of unorganized, crazy, time-sensitive timelines inside of crypto Twitter. And that's what AI is really good at. It's right. It's synthesizing, aggregating, summarizing huge amounts of data in digestible stuff. So yeah, awesome. Great for me. And each one has its own purpose, right? Yeah, Claude's great for like writing programs. I can go and set up an API call, do it in some app script shit for Google. Like easy, awesome, very formal, very easy. Gets me going, upskills me. Versus Grok is good for like real-time data, understanding nuance in a social setting, all that stuff.
I like it. Just a quick shout out to the comments in the coming up on YouTube, but I think they were made on Twitter. We've got Fred saying, just quit my ChatGPT subscription because of Grok updates. Mr. Todd also making this point. Grok isn't crypto heavy. Always risk Elon shuts it down. That he's claiming AI needs to be open so he will monetize, not close. Legendary. Any reflections there? Do you think that we'll continually be able to use Grok as openly as it is?
I think so, but I also very much agree with Brett's point that the USP obviously is to own all of the data and make that exclusively available to Grok. So this is sometimes I'm also wondering about tools that access X's API in the way that Kaito, for example, does it. Like this is the risk that I see with Kaito, that at one point, X is like, you guys are accessing our posts in one way, and I don't know what the agreement is in the background. This is just me purely like thinking out loud. That they're like, we don't want you to do this anymore, and then the business model goes away, and that has happened to other tools before. So that's obviously the risk if your business is depending on someone else's API.
That's always been the risk. I think we had an opportunity once to invest in a company that was building on top of Twitter. That was like the key reason why I said no at the time. It's just one of those risks. It's inbuilt into the system. Brad, final point before we close out.
Call back to Wednesday's show where we were talking about what Kaito is doing with putting their apps on chain with attestations, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
Remember, oh, now you no longer run the risk. Like obviously it won't be as updated or as frequent, whatever. It could be older, but like doing that means you're no longer dependent on the Kaito API, right? If their system has problems or if they decide to shut it down because they fuck you, whatever, like it still exists on chain, right? It's still there as an attestation that people can reference and build stuff around. And their business isn't as jeopardized by being dependent on a private entity's internal, machinations.
Like it. I like that conversation. I like the conversations where we kind of go into the tech stuff because we're all trying to figure out how to leverage ourselves online a little bit more, whether it relates to crypto, whether it relates to NFTs, whether it relates to just being better and just propelling ourselves further forward online. I think that's crucial to participating in the market that we're in. So assessing these tools that are available to us and reviewing them and sharing our knowledge will always be a part of the show. So hope you appreciate that. We have run over a little bit today, extra 5 minutes, extra 5 minute bonus as we go into the weekend, but we will be back with you on Monday, same time, same place, every single day, 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour live on X, live on YouTube, and also available on Apple, Spotify podcasts. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.